Guys, welcome to the top stories at the closing bell today. Guys, yesterday was a huge day in the market, over 3% on the NASDAQ. Today, another big day. Actually, the NASDAQ's only up 1% now. That's kind of interesting. It's pulled back quite a bit. A couple stocks to go over. Please watch for those. Also, a couple pieces of news. First off, SpaceX confidentially files for IPO. I love when it's confidential and then it's on the cover of Yahoo Finance. Guys, the way IPOs work is, first off, there's the whole idea that IPOs in general, if you invested in every IPO, you'd probably be net loss of overall. But the way IPOs work is they have filed. Now they go on what's called a road tour, and all the investment bankers get on the road and they sell, because that's what investment bankers do. They're not analysts. They're not smart financial guys. They're salespeople. They go on the road. They go out there and say, here's why you need to be buying SpaceX stock. It's the best thing ever. And Tim just said something about Elon Musk had a quote where he talked about what percentage of the economy will be space travel. Guys, I do think we're going to end up in space. I personally want to sign up for a space travel in the future. My wife was like, yeah, wait till I die before you do that. I think space is incredible. And of course, to be able to travel across the world faster when you get into space, I think it's an incredible business. But my understanding is SpaceX doesn't exactly generate a lot of revenue, if any profit. They're going to value the company. So they recently valued at 1.25, but I think I remember, yeah, right here. But the valuation they're trying to get is $1.75 trillion. That's higher than Tesla. Oh man, it's incredible. So big part, if you saw recently, Elon Musk's net worth is upwards of $800-900 billion, and a big chunk of that is SpaceX. Guys, where does this go from here? I have no idea. Now, yesterday, we also did earnings result of Nike. Nike reported, and they had a double beat. Boom. Sales in China down 20%. That was what drove the stock, from what I understand, down. Now, I own Nike. Don't own a stock just because I do. I started buying Nike under 80, and I'm dollar cost averaging down. So I'm definitely in a loss here. The question that's become is, does that make you scared? Would it make you scared of a stock that you loved because the valuation went down? If that makes you scared, if you wonder that means you're wrong, we're the channel for you, because I'm not worried about this at all. In fact, I bought more today and sold puts at 40. Don't ever buy anything or sell anything because someone on the internet or even Warren Buffett does it. In fact, I look at this, I love saying that now because it allows me to speak freely and say, these are my opinions. I look at Nike and I ask those three questions I always ask. If you've watched our other channel, you've heard me ask it before. One, do I think Nike will be around 20, 30 years from now? For me, the answer is yes. I imagine, what's the world got to look like that Nike's gone? Two, do I think their revenue and profit will be higher 10, 20, 30 years from now than today? I think yes. If it's still around, it's probably going to be higher revenue because it's got quite the business hold on sports. So the third and most important question, can I pay a reasonable price today that gives me an adequate return, an above average return on my capital based on that future assessment I'm making? So that's when we go to our stock analyzer tool. Now keep in mind, guys, Nike's all-time high was 180 back in 2021. And I would like it. Tim yesterday showed me because I say it all the time. People in the messages in the comments saying, it'll never be below 100. Because we said, when it hits below 100, we'll start to take a look. It'll never be below 100. It'll never go to these prices. You're too conservative. By the way, guys, I'm not saying that I called this. I am not calling that at all. But the stock has fallen 75% now. 75% from its high to get to 44.50, like pretty much on the dot. $45 times 4 is 180. So it's 75% drop. I'm not calling that. But what I'm saying is you've got to be prepared for when stocks you love falls. Because guess what? Back then, nobody could ever see the stock falling. And all the news was great about it because the stock was going up. And now the stock is going down. All the news is terrible. Oh, their turnaround's not working, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe not. Maybe not. But at the end of the day, guys, my investment ideas are I want to buy big companies, great companies, when I think they're massively mispriced. I think Nike falls in that criteria. I'm pulling up the stock analyzer tool. I will do a 10-year analysis on Nike. Guys, I'm not making egregious assumptions. 2.5%, 4.5%, and 6.5% revenue growth for the next 10 years. Profit margin, 9, 10, and 11, which is actually, by the way, these numbers are lower than I did last night. PE of 19, 22, and 25, because it's a premium business, in my opinion, with a premium return on capital. In the last 5 and 10 years, they are in a turnaround. And then 9% desired return. Nothing about margin of safety. The stock's currently at 45 bucks. And I lowered my expectations from yesterday. I have a low price of 48, high price of 96, middle price of 68. What I want to point out is when we made the video that we would only be interested in looking at Nike sub 100, there's a reason for that. I bet you my assumptions were probably better before, like higher before, but I'm looking at this going, if my middle assumptions occur, if this occurs like clockwork, not including the balance sheet, I have a 15% return on my money over the next 10 years, 15% a year. I wish I had 30 or 40 companies that looked like that because I would guess that my stocks are going to do very well. And that's what I'm trying to teach here. You're not going to be able to pick anything in the short run. Is this the appropriate price movement for the company? I don't know. I doubt it. Rarely is a stock price actually indicative in the short run of what's going on in the company's fundamentals. Yes, there might be good news fundamentally, the stock pops, but look at what happened with Oracle. They had a big pop one day of like 25%, and they're now already below that number when it started that day. So I look at Nike going, really? Another company that Tim brought up to me today that I didn't even realize was up, Intel. Now, Intel's a company that's not like Nike to me. They are in a massive turnaround, but it's a stock that I own that I've been very fortunate to have had calls taken away. And I'm in the positive now because I dollar cost, I bought on the way down. Guys, it got as low as $17 a share a year ago. 51 weeks ago, it was $17 a share. Guys, its high was 3 months ago, $55 a share. That's 3x in 1 year. Are you telling me that Intel's business got 3 times better in the last 1 year? But here's what the best part is. All-time high of 75 bucks was in the year 2000. This is a massive turnaround story. What was the reason they're up 9% today? Because they bought back into one of their plants in Ireland. There you go. No idea why that means 9% buyback. 9% pop in the stock.
They said it's a show of strength.
Oh, all right. Guys, I think Intel's a long turnaround play, but the reason I like them is they do make great chips. There's no argument they have great chips. And 2, sometimes the best thing that can happen to a company is to suffer. But I also believe in not selling. So I bought Intel. It got taken away from me in covered calls. And then when it fell again, I sold cash secured puts, got the stock as it went down. And for a long time, I was down a lot on my Intel investment. I think my basis was like 32 or 33 when it hit 17. And I just kept buying all the way down. My basis got to 27, 28. I was in the negative. You cannot determine if you're right or wrong based on your stock being up or down. You cannot. I always tell people I sold 2 stocks because I thought I was wrong on them. Both stocks I sold for a profit, purely because of timing. Had nothing to do with competence. I sold 2 stocks because I was like, you know what? I was wrong on these. I need to sell these while I can. And guess what? I did. And I made a profit on them just because of the timing of the market. There's no way I'm taking credit for that. Just like there's lots of stocks. Look at Adobe. Guys, I own Adobe. My basis in Adobe, I don't even know what my basis is, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's well above 240. I just bought shares yesterday. Again, don't buy anything as I have it, but I started buying Adobe at 415, 420. Does anybody know the exact? I started buying it in the low 400s. So my basis has to start with a 3. I don't know what it is, but it's not 240. Okay. All I know is this is a great company, in my opinion, with growing cash flows. It's selling for 10 times free cash flow. That's the confidence I want you to have. That is the confidence you're capable of. I didn't have a YouTube channel and other people on the internet to talk to when I came up with these. I just had confusion going, how can a stock go up and down 10% in a month and that be considered efficient and the right valuation? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But it all started with me saying, why is the stock selling for this price? And I used to believe that the short run mattered. I used to believe the Ron war mattered and earnings results mattered. It's all gibberish. What matters is the long run. If you can think long term, you will do better. If you can think and act long term, you will do really well. That's hard to do. And the reason I bring up Adobe here is because I chuckle. Look at our community members. We have almost 200 community members who voted on the stock. They have an intrinsic value of 468. The stock price is 240 right now. It's almost half that. Do you think these guys are worried? They probably look at it as opportunity. I got a message today on Twitter. By the way, if you want to follow me on Twitter, somebody asked me, hey, Paul, how's your Mag 7 doing? He's like, I got to see tons of value in there. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm down a lot. He's like, there's got to be great opportunity. I'm like, that's what I love hearing. I agree with them. We have a Mag 7 video coming out very, very soon that'll explain it. And guys, all right, so my stocks are down in the short run. Okay. If you're only looking for something that you make money in every single day, you're in the wrong business. Buy short-term 90-day treasuries and just collect your 3.5% a year. It's not going to happen. If you want to make, everybody says they're different, but they don't want to act different because there is a lot of comfort in the crowd. And I get that. But in investing, the crowd is the only part that if you actually follow the crowd, you're probably not going to do as well as you'd hope, unless you're dollar cost averaging with the crowd. Guys, Restoration Hardware is down 22% today. Let us see why. The company reported fourth quarter earnings of $1.53 per share, missing, missed by a lot. Missing estimates of $2.21 per share. This earnings miss coupled with revenue, which also fell short. Okay, so guys, I love this. This is where I love earnings. A stock misses, and everyone says down 22%. So here's what I think about Restoration Hardware. Good brand, good reputation, good restaurant, by the way. I like their restaurants. So guys, the low today was 106. It's currently at 110. So it's actually down a lot more today at one point. Wowza. Now, guys, this is a company with, I think, a good reputation. Let's go look at the sales here. Oh, so look at this. 2022, 3.76, 3.593, and they were rebounding. They're actually rebounding in their sales. Now, could this be a good brand that's temporarily hit? Now, you guys, I've talked about this before. The consumer doesn't feel as strong as it used to be. When I see same-store sales declines in Home Depot, Lowe's, and Target, it makes me wonder, like, how good the consumer is. But I see a same-store sales growth in discount stores like Walmart and Dollar Tree and all those other ones. I got to ask the questions of, like, is it the consumer? We see, more credit card debt. We see misses on people's payments that are higher on homes and cars. You got to ask those questions. So let's look what analysts, first of all, let's look at the 8 pillars here. A lot of debt. Jesus Christ. Ugh. This is barely a $2 billion business, by the way. Our minimum is $2 billion. It's 2.19. Might be the last time we do it. So make sure you pay attention. Look at the all-time high, 744, Tim. August of 2021.
Paul,
744 down to 100.
If we would have done that stock, somebody would have said, Paul, there's no way.
Exactly.
Because you know what?
Right.
Back to the Nike conversation,
Yeah.
I went and looked at a video because that comment I gave you was from 23. I went and looked at one from 2021, and it might have been your low basis was like 55 for Nike or something like
low
that.
number?
Your low number.
Oh, good. It's very consistent.
And somebody said, Paul, the last time it was $55 was 2017. Come on.
Correct. So I always tell a story about my friend back in 06 and 07, the couple. Guys, everyone right now, if you ask them if stocks fell in half, what would you do? 100% of them would say I'd buy more. 100% of them. When it actually happens, just a few percentage points of them buy more stock. Because the story attached to that decline is so awful and fearful and terrible that you can't possibly see stocks rebounding. Just like the news is so good. And people say, the news is not good right now. Well, it's not bad enough because stocks are still pretty good. You look at that saying, what would stocks have to do to be bad right now? Like, people can't even imagine, maybe a 10% decline, maybe, but a 30, 40, 50%, no, Paul. Guys, we've had 3, 40%, 50% drops in the last 25 years in the stock market. 3 of them. That's 1 every 8 years. I don't want to hear when people say, oh, I don't think so. No, it happens. Just be prepared. That's what we're trying to do here. But anyways, Restoration Hardware. Let's see if I've ever done RH. Restoration. Oh, it's not Restoration. It's just RH. Robert Half. 2023, I did it. Okay, I was doing this for my own personal. So let me change this up a little bit. Let's do it a 10-year analysis. I'm going to do, let's see what the analyst estimates are for, oh, wow. Look at this growth in earnings according to analysts. Jesus. $41 a share off of 5.3. That's interesting. I wonder how that is. Okay, let's do 5, 10, and 15% revenue growth. Let's do profit of 7, 9, and 11. Never forget. Of course, I never stop saying that. High returns on capital here, guys. Look at this, 14.5 and 17. That's good. So I'm going to do 15, 18, and 21. 15, 18, 21. And with my return, I'm going to do 9% across the board. Just not my price I want to pay for it, just what is it worth today? The stock's currently at 111. Wow. Low price of 215, high price of 904, middle price of 451. Wow. Oh,
Do you think their profits and ROIC in the short term were hurt by tariffs or anything like that, Paul?
I mean, it could be. I have to look at their earnings release because clearly their profit got smacked. But the thing is, these analysts can adjust their earnings result numbers like all the way up to the day before, the day of. So I don't get why they miss by so much, but who knows? Time to call it D-Wizzle. This is incredible. Guys, if you're in our community, do me a favor. Take a look at Restoration Hardware and put your vote in on what your intrinsic value is. Because people have as a hold with intrinsic value of 142. So maybe now they think it's a buy. This is something interesting to me. Now, the question is, do I want to own Restoration Hardware forever? I believe Berkshire and Buffett had it for a short period of time. I like Restoration Hardware's brand. The furniture business is a competitive business, but there's a lot of margin. What is their gross margin here? That's bullshit. That's a lie. 44.5%. That's a lie. Their gross margin is probably 60 to 70%. They're putting something else in there. They sell a freaking $15,000 couch. It's just, I have a hard time believing that. Anyhow, guys. Oh, you want to hear a funny story? This is not a criticism. This is actually a really funny story. So, Our House Furniture. Our house is locally owned in Cleveland. It's also publicly traded. So their CEO, I once had lunch with. Me and him alone. The founder and CEO. Have I told you this story before?
No, I'm excited.
I won't tell you why I had lunch with him because it's not about him. It's about me that I had lunch with him. We went to P.F. Chang in Beechwood. And
great place.
Great place. I love P.F. Chang. And so we met. Very nice. He helped me out. Then he goes, hey, my daughter lives on the West Coast. Can you help her with real estate? So his daughter reached out to me, real bright girl, real smart, was getting into real estate, helped her out for several months. Really great. Fast forward to like last year or the year before. What are you laughing about? Fast forward to last year or the year before. I run into him in a restaurant because he's mutual friends with somebody. So like, hi, I'm, John. And I go, yeah, John, we've had lunch before. He's like, we have? I'm like, yeah. And I explained the whole situation. He was like, yeah, I don't remember that at all. I'm like, we had a lunch alone. I helped your daughter. I mentioned her name. He's like, that's my daughter. It's like he had no clue who I was. But it was funny. He's like, yeah, I have no idea who you are. Even Lisa was like, oh, that was awkward. I'm like, I thought it was funny because the guy literally had no clue who I was. No clue. He was like, I don't remember that at all. I'm like, it was you and me at P.F. Chang alone. Like literally, we exchanged messages I helped his daughter for freaking 6 months on a real estate deal. And he thanked me for it and everything. And anyways, I thought it was great. It was funny because, you sit there and you meet somebody and it shows you how inconsequential you are. like here's this guy. And he was like, yeah, I have no idea who you are. Anyhow, I like the story. But all right, guys, if you guys do me a favor. The last week's been very volatile. I use this guardrail called principle-driven investing. It's my 5 tenets where I talk about how I believe you should look at investments. There are 5 of them. I would really love if you do what I do, which is have them here, have them upstairs in your office, have them on your phone ready to go. That way when things do get volatile, real volatility, not this bullshit level of volatility, like real volatility, you can sit there and pull these out and watch them. And I don't mean just stocks going down, stocks going up as well. Click the link below. We will send you our free cheat sheet. It'll tell you our principle-driven investing approach, the 5 tenets, and explain them properly. Thank you for your time.